Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely reframe an ancient practice into a deeply scientifically backed mind-body upgrade. We aren't just looking at some slow-motion workout here. No, we're going to break down the exact mechanics of how a centuries-old tradition can literally rebuild your joints, hit the reset button on your nervous system, and physically alter your brain chemistry. It's fascinating stuff.
So let's dive right in. Can slow, deliberate movements actually act as a biological and cognitive reset? I mean, when we think of standard exercise, our minds usually go straight to speed, heavy weights, sweating, and high impact. But, the data tells us a completely different story about what happens when you just slow everything down. We're going to explore how moving in slow motion isn't just about relaxation. It's actually a really rigorous physiological and neurological intervention.
Section 1. Meditation in Motion.
All right, let's start on the surface with the physical mechanics and the core philosophy. Our subject is Taichi Chuan, which translates to the supreme ultimate. Now, rather than treating this like your standard cardio routine, we really have to grasp the philosophy that governs it. The core concept here is Wu Wei, which means effortless action. So instead of fighting against force or trying to muscle through a movement, the goal is to flow right along with it.
There's this beautiful analogy that perfectly captures this foundation of inner strength. Your legs are your roots, whilst your hands and arms are like the branches of a tree. I just love that. It perfectly illustrates how the practice connects your physical structure to the natural flow of energy. Your upper body stays incredibly fluid and relaxed, while your lower body provides this absolutely unbreakable anchor.
Take the foundational riding horse stance, for example. Notice the posture. It beautifully demonstrates the vital importance of rooting and alignment. The practitioner establishes a very low, stable center of gravity. The weight is balanced, the knees are bent, and the body is kept perfectly upright without any stiffness. And it's exactly this alignment that allows a practitioner's weight to shift flawlessly from one foot to another without ever losing balance.
And as we move to the next concept, notice the continuous fluidity as the stance progresses into the brush-the-knee form. The thing to grasp here is that one movement never completely stops. There are no jerky pauses. Instead, it just smoothly transitions right into the next posture, mimicking the natural flow of water. And let me tell you, maintaining that continuous motion requires an incredible amount of muscular control and intense mental focus.
So, the absolute crucial point in maintaining this dynamic balance is the golden rule of rooting. To achieve that water-like flow we were just talking about, you have to master this specific footwork. Step 1, the heel goes down first. Step 2, you slowly roll onto the ball of the foot. And finally, step 3, you plant the toes. Transferring your weight from heel to toe with that kind of absolute, deliberate control is exactly what builds those deep, stabilizing muscles. Honestly, try doing this at a snail's pace across your living room, and you'll quickly realize it's a massive leg workout.
To tie this first pillar all together, there are absolutely no straight lines in Tai Chi. Every movement follows a curved or circular form, meaning, to achieve that effortless flow, every single motion must be rounded, completely removing any harsh angles. And that's exactly why this practice places virtually zero harsh impact on your joints.
Section 2. The biological reset.
Now, let's move beneath the skin. Think about that stressed fight-or-flight state that so many of us literally live in every single day versus a calm rest-and-digest state. So how do we cross over? Well, we do it by using deep, abdominal, dantian breathing. This diaphragmatic breathing method is woven into every single movement. By forcing your exhalation to take longer than your inhalation, you actively stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, basically forcing your body out of stress mode.
When we look at the hard data from places like the NIH and the Cleveland Clinic, we see exactly why doctors are heavily recommending this. Take osteoarthritis, for instance. The American College of Rheumatology strongly recommends Tai Chi for knee and hip osteoarthritis because that slow tracking of the joints provides low-impact resilience. And for coronary heart disease, studies are showing large, highly significant improvements in aerobic capacity. It's giving you cardiovascular support without dangerously spiking your heart rate.
And for older adults, the data is just striking. High-certainty medical evidence shows that Tai Chi can actually reduce the number of people who experience falls by 20%. 20%. Why? Because those slow, deliberate movements, like that heel-to-toe rooting we went over earlier, they strengthen those deep internal stabilizer muscles and radically enhance proprioception. That's basically your body's awareness of exactly where it is in space. So how exactly does it do all of this?
Well, it happens through a fascinating cascade of biological changes. Those gentle twisting motions actually act as a physical pump for cardiovascular microcirculation and lymphatic drainage. It increases heart rate variability, boosts oxygenation straight to the brain, and amazingly, studies note that just 7 minutes of this practice can successfully lower cortisol levels and fully reset your nervous system. 7 minutes.
Section 3. The Neuroplasticity Engine.
Okay, let's transition from the body into the mind and explore how this acts as a really rigorous cognitive workout. It's kind of like trying to pat your head and rub your belly at the same time, but infinitely more graceful. Practitioners have to simultaneously synchronize deep breathing, maintain precise physical posture, control their visual focus, and monitor complex spatial awareness. In neuroscience, this is known as dual task training. And because you're managing all of these inputs at once, it mimics the exact cognitive load needed to preserve mental acuity and actively prevent age-related mental decline.
And it goes even deeper than that, because the breathing maps directly to motor planning. You aren't just moving around randomly here. You have to use intense mental effort to coordinate inhaling on inward, odd-numbered movements, which is internalizing yin energy, and exhaling on outward, even-numbered movements to externalize yang energy. Memorizing these incredibly complex, multi-step movement sequences acts as a massive stimulus for the brain.
This is the neuroplasticity engine completely at work. And we aren't just guessing that this helps the brain. We have the scans to prove it. Brain imaging actually shows that just 12 weeks of Tai Chi training alters brain physiology, specifically increasing connectivity in the neuronal regions associated with spatial memory. It is physically reshaping the neural pathways in your mind. How incredible is that?
The psychological benefits are just as profound. By pinning your absolute attention to the precise placement of your heel or the exact angle of your fingers during movements like washing your chi, you force your brain to stay entirely in the present moment. This act of mindfulness effectively shuts down the brain's default mode network. And that's absolutely crucial, because that's the exact neurological region responsible for anxiety, looping thoughts, and chronic worry.
The supreme ultimate. We've seen the external grace of the physical movements, the internal biology of the autonomic reset, and the cutting-edge cognitive neuroscience backing the whole thing up. Knowing that you can use this supreme ultimate practice not just to stretch, but to completely reshape your neural pathways, calm your nervous system, and build literally bulletproof balance, well, the only question left is, will you harness the power of slow motion to protect your joints and sharpen your mind? When are you going to begin your own meditation in motion? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope it completely shifted your perspective on the very real science of slowing down.